Hi, this is Handman. In this video, we're going to take a look at helium miners. We're going to do a comparison of them and answer the question, well, which one should I buy? So we'll start off with a short list of miners, and then we'll look at a set of attributes that we'll use to rank the miners. Some of the items that we're going to rank are objective and some are subjective. We'll do a little bit of math followed by the results, and I'll give you some closing remarks. Let's get started. Okay, here's our short list in alphabetical order. We're going to compare the Bobcat 300, the Minted Limited Edition Gold Spot, the SenseCap M1, the Syncrobit. So that's it. That's our list. A little bit of something that's subjective, right? So I have decided these are the four that I want to review, and that's from scouring Discord and other places and seeing these seem to be four of the popular ones. So let's take a look at these. Now we have to come up with some attributes so that we can rank and rate these miners. So here are the attributes that I'm going to use. I'm going to look at reliability, how many locations they have in the Helium network, what storage capacity is available in the miner, and does it have some kind of interface or dashboard? Some people like to tinker with the settings of their miner, so they need an easy to use interface. And you also might want a dashboard just to see how your Helium miner is doing. There are some very good dashboards available through the Helium Explorer and some other free apps on the internet, so you can see again how your Helium miner is doing. It's all open. And lastly, we want to rank what type of processor is on this miner and how much random access memory, how much memory does it have, because until Helium Lite is introduced, these miners need to download the entire blockchain, the Helium blockchain. So they need to be able to have a good level of computability power. Ranking, we're going to weight our attributes. In the attribute that I feel is the most important to me, I'm going to weight the ranking by 10. The next attribute will be weighted by 9, and so on. Now, some of the attributes are objective and some will be ranked subjectively, such as the actual selection of the attributes to begin with is subjective, right? Here are the 5 attributes that are most important to me. The rankings, some of the items such as storage, right? It is objective. Who has the larger capacity available? And some ranking items are subjective, like reliability. It's from me looking at Discord again and seeing who's complaining about what are people saying about this miner and that miner. So that's subjective. The math, of course, is objective. It is just multiplication and addition that we'll be doing, nothing complicated. The results, of course, who will have the highest rating at the end of the math, which I'll go through, is objective. But we have to keep in mind that part of the rankings that contributed to that objectivity were subjective. Hopefully that's not too confusing. And now let's take a look at a little bit of the math before we get started. So here is the weighting that I'm giving the factors that we're going to use as the attributes. So reliability to me is going to be the most important. So whatever or rating we give each miner for reliability, we're going to multiply it by a factor of 10 because I believe reliability is important. How many locations they have on the Helium network is the next most important thing. I realize that if a miner has been in production longer than another miner, obviously there's a very good chance there'll be more of that miner in the network, but all things being equal, I'd like to see who is the most popular miner out there. What have other people been buying? Storage is important. Again, since we do have to download the entire blockchain, I want to make sure that the miner I pick has a good storage capacity and the network is growing almost exponentially. It's quite big. So we do need to have storage capacity available. That's important to me. And again, if you want to tinker and play with settings, a good interface is needed, and also a dashboard to just see how your miner is doing week over week. Computing power, what processor is available, what memory is available. We should try to see one that has good capacity. That's the weighting that we will give each of the attributes. Reliability, most important, then how many locations they have asserted on the Helium blockchain, how much storage is available, what type of interface do I have to control and tinker with this miner, and how much processing power and memory does it come with. Now on to the math. So here are our miners. and we said that the antenna attribute is the first one we want to rank, and it'll have the lowest multiplier, 5, to look at how they scored. Let's just give the higher dBi the higher score. So we would have that. We'll multiply the scores by the multiplier factor of 5. And this is X factor. We'll get these figures. So we'll keep this in our memory, and then we'll add that up as we go. Let's move on to the next item. So the processor and RAM, we'll do the same thing, taking those in combination. If we take all the processors as about equal and look at the memory, we can see that the Minted has the 8 gigs, so we'll give that the 10. Then the 2 quad core, we'll go with the Bobcat, then the SenseCap, and finally the SynchroBit. And again, this was our next most important attribute, the processor RAM, so we will now multiply by a factor of 6 the score to give us this final X factor. And let's continue. Interface and dashboard. This is more subjective. The SenseCap has, from what I've seen, the nicer interface and lets you control more items, and so we'll give that the 10. SynchroBit not far behind. Bobcat has an app that you can use, and finally the Minted. So there's our X factor for the interface dashboard, 7 times all of these figures. Add those to our running total in memory. Let's move on to storage. So here's the storage. Now the reason we're giving the Bobcat the 10 is that it's flash, which we've been seeing some people have had issues with the SD cards, and also because now we don't yet have light versions of the Helium network, the whole Helium blockchain needs to be downloaded, and so some folks were complaining that it's slow, it takes time because they've either got the 32 or the 64 gig. So we're looking to, the flash works a bit quicker than the actual SD card. The read writes can handle many more cycles as compared to an SD card. So that's why we're giving the Bobcat the higher score, and you can see the scores here. Again, we're now up to a multiplication factor of 8, which gives us these totals, which will add to our running total. And now we'll move on to the locations asserted. And so for locations, Bobcat is the clear winner. Now again, it might have been in production longer than the others, but we're going by the numerical values here, and so it has the most in production, so it'll get the 10, and you can see the other ones over there. This was our second most important attribute, so it's getting a weighting of 9. So we're going to multiply all these scores by 9. So for reliability, again, somewhat subjective. This is from looking at their own Discord servers and the Helium Discord server, and just browsing the internet and seeing what folks are saying. Seems to be the Bobcat is the most reliable, or has less issues than some of the others, and you can see the ratings here. We'll multiply those by a factor of 10, and we will add up now all our X factors across the way for the 5 attributes, giving us our final scores. In 4th place we have the SynchroBit, followed by Minted, then the SenseCap, and 1st place to the Bobcat. So from that, in number 4, we have the SynchroBit. Number 3 is the Minted Gold Spot Miner. Number 2, the SenseCap M1. And number 1 is the Bobcat 300. So even though we've rated Bobcat as number 1, there is a lot of scarcity in these miners. This project has taken off. It's very hard to get a miner. So some people have been waiting weeks, some months, some even over a year to get a miner. So there are those who say, well, you should just order whichever miner you can get soonest. Don't worry if it's even one of the 4 that we've reviewed here, or at least even maybe just start with one of these 4 if that is important to you, if you liked what we've shown in this video. But just get started if you are passionate about the Helium project. We also didn't talk about the antenna. the antenna is important. A lot of folks you'll see in the internet say, well, really the mining hardware is pretty much the same. So it doesn't even matter to some people which miner you get. The antenna is important. And the antenna, the different dBi of the antennas, they do different things, as you can see here. They have different angles and different ranges. So knowing which antenna to get is important. We'll keep that for another video. Also, where do I put the antenna? Do I put it inside? Do I put it outside? How high up should it be? All these are important, but again, if you're passionate, just get started and put the antenna somewhere, see how you're doing for a week or so, and then move it and see if your rewards go up or down. Now, we have to take that with a grain of salt, because even if you change nothing, your rewards week over week could change. A little bit frustrating, but this whole project is about tinkering, really. It's about getting started, and it is sort of a set it. You could set it and forget it. Just buy your miner and the antenna, place it somewhere, forget about it. Or if you're into tinkering, you could not only tinker with the attributes and settings, you could play with, in the least, a different antenna or moving the antenna. Now, how would I know which one of these, in this example, these 4 dBi antennas to get and where to put it? Well, a lot of that depends on the topography. So if you're thinking about getting a Helium miner, you do have a bit of homework to do first, I believe. You should figure out, well, what does the topography look like around me? Because the rewards are all based on how many other miners can you see, and how many of them can see you. So your antenna's transmission and reception is important. Transmission and reception is going to be helped or hindered by the topography around you. So for certain situations, if it's pretty flat around you, you might go for a 9 dBi. If there's a lot of hills around you, or you're in a downtown condos area, you might have a lot of obstructions, buildings, and so on around you, so you need a lower dBi, right? You want almost that circle, that 2 dBi one, to just go around where you are, because you can't really go through too many obstructions. So topography is the first thing that you should really review in your homework before purchasing one of these miners. The next is, hey, if you're passionate, just get started and worry about the antenna and the antenna location later. Again, it's tinkering. Play around, look at the Discord servers of your miner and of Helium's Discord in general, and you'll see tens of thousands of people asking these same questions that you probably are asking. Where should I put my miner? Which one should I get, if you're even still thinking about which one to get after this video. But hopefully this video has given you a good head start, and all of them, so what's the point of this, right? All of them are to increase your stack of Helium, right? That's the end goal of this, is to get more Helium rewards. Now, with that said, that's really the end of the video. So if you're interested in increasing your cryptocurrency stack in other cryptocurrencies, check out the Celsius network. They provide rewards weekly through yield, and it's a nice passive way to increase your stacks. If you're interested, check out my referral link below. If you use that and move over at least $400 US worth of any cryptocurrency, after a month, you and I will both receive $50 in BTC. If you have any questions on that or anything I've mentioned in the video here on Helium, and also I'd like to hear your feedback on those 4 miners, how things are going with you, because that could help us in our decision making, please feel free to comment below. This is Handman saying see you in the next video.